Before Amazon became the symbol of the everything store, Sears had already built one. Not with search bars, one-click checkout, and delivery vans, but with catalogs, railroads, mail routes, warehouses, private brands, and trust. For millions of Americans, Sears was the place where you could buy almost anything without living near a major city. Tools, clothing, appliances, furniture, watches, farm equipment, even entire houses. It was retail turned into infrastructure. That is what makes the Sears story so strange. The company did not miss the future because it could not imagine remote shopping. In many ways, it helped invent it. The deeper question is how a business that understood access, convenience, product range, and customer trust so early could later lose all four. Sears began with a simple insight: geography was a market failure. In the late 1800s, many rural customers had limited choices. Local merchants could charge high prices because customers had few alternatives. Big city stores had more variety, but they were far away. Sears saw the gap. If the company could reach those customers by mail, it could turn isolation into demand. The catalog became more than a product list. It was a store you could hold in your hands. It gave customers prices, pictures, descriptions, and the feeling that a distant company could be more reliable than the merchant down the road. That was the first genius of Sears. It did not just sell products. It sold confidence. This was not an accident. The business worked because several forces came together at once. America was expanding. Railroads connected the country. Postal delivery improved. Rural customers wanted access to the same goods available in cities. Sears used that environment better than almost anyone. Inside that world, the strategy made perfect sense. The more products Sears offered, the more useful the catalog became. The more useful the catalog became, the more customers trusted the company. The more customers trusted the company, the easier it was to sell higher value items. Scale created selection, selection created loyalty, and loyalty created more scale. For a while, Sears looked less like a retailer and more like a national operating system for shopping. But the strongest companies are often forced to survive the success of their own model. The same America that made the catalog powerful was changing again. Cars were spreading, suburbs were growing. Customers who once needed mail-order shopping could now drive to stores. This could have killed Sears early. Instead, Sears adapted brilliantly. In 1925, the company opened its first retail store in Chicago. That decision was not a rejection of the catalog. It was a recognition that access had changed. If the customer could now come to the store, Sears needed to become the destination. By 1931, retail sales had passed mail-order sales, and Sears had proven something important. It was not just a catalog company. It was a company that understood how Americans wanted to buy. That second version of Sears became even stronger. The stores gave the company physical presence. The catalog gave it national familiarity. The brand gave it trust. And then Sears added another layer of power: its own products. Craftsman tools, Kenmore appliances, DieHard batteries. These were not just items on shelves. They were reasons to choose Sears over another store. A customer did not go to Sears only because it was convenient. They went because certain categories felt owned by Sears. If you needed tools, appliances, auto parts, or home equipment, Sears was not just one option. It was often the default option. That created a powerful business loop. Sears could sell the appliance, finance the purchase, install it, repair it, and keep the customer relationship alive for years. It had stores, brands, service departments, credit, insurance, and real estate. In its strongest years, Sears touched the American household from several directions at once. This is why the decline cannot be explained by saying the company was always outdated. Sears had been innovative. It had reinvented itself before. It had trusted brands, national scale, customer relationships, and valuable locations. The problem was that the environment changed again, and this time the old machine became harder to move. Discount retailers attacked one side of Sears. Walmart and Target made price, logistics, and convenience more important. They were sharper, faster, and more focused. At the same time, category specialists attacked another side. Home Depot and Lowe's became stronger destinations for tools, hardware, appliances, and home improvement. They did not need to sell everything. They needed to dominate the categories where Sears had once felt strongest. Then e-commerce attacked the original Sears idea from the future. Online retail took the old catalog promise and upgraded it. Search replaced page turning. Reviews replaced some of the old brand trust. Fast delivery replaced mail order patience. Price comparison became instant. A company no longer had to own the local store to own the customer relationship. Sears should have had an emotional advantage in that world. It had already taught America to buy from a distance. But history is not a strategy by itself. The company still had to build the modern version of that system. And by the time the internet became central, Sears was already fighting battles on too many fronts. In 1993, Sears discontinued its general catalog. At the time, that decision did not look irrational. The catalog had become expensive, and the store business was still the center of the company's identity. Management was trying to focus on retail, cut weak operations, and protect the core. But looking back, the timing is painful. Sears walked away from the symbol of its remote shopping DNA, just as remote shopping was about to become the most important force in retail again. Still, the company had assets, a lot of them. That is what made the 2005 merger with Kmart look reasonable to some investors. Kmart had come out of bankruptcy. Sears still had famous brands, real estate, and recognition. Together, the combined company would have around $55 billion in annual revenue and thousands of stores. On paper, it looked like scale. It looked like purchasing power. It looked like two wounded retailers could create one stronger platform. And in that moment, the logic was understandable. If retail was becoming a game of size, maybe a bigger footprint could create leverage. If both companies had valuable real estate, maybe the assets could provide downside protection. If Sears had strong proprietary brands and Kmart had a large store base, maybe the combination could unlock value. The problem was that scale only works when it improves the customer proposition. A bigger store base does not matter if customers have fewer reasons to visit. More locations do not fix weak merchandising. Real estate value does not automatically repair retail relevance. And combining two challenged businesses can create the appearance of strength while making the operating problem more complex. This is where the Sears story becomes less about one bad decision and more about a mechanism. As the stores weakened, Sears needed cash. To generate cash, it sold or separated valuable assets. Those moves could be defended in the moment. If a company owns valuable real estate while the retail business is under pressure, monetizing property can look like financial discipline. If a brand like Craftsman has value beyond Sears stores, selling it can look like unlocking trapped value. If the company needs liquidity, asset sales can buy time. But time only helps if the operating business is being rebuilt. Sears increasingly used asset value as oxygen for a business that was still losing the customer. In 2015, it sold hundreds of Sears and Kmart properties into Seritage, receiving billions in proceeds while many locations were leased back. Financially, the move created liquidity. Strategically, it changed the nature of the business. Stores Sears once controlled as assets became places with rent obligations and redevelopment potential for someone else. At first, that could look smart. If the market valued the real estate more than the retail operation did, why not unlock that value? But the other side of the coin was brutal. A retailer in decline needs its best assets to create a better future. Sears was using them to survive the present. The Craftsman sale in 2017 followed the same logic. The brand still had real value. Stanley Black & Decker could distribute it through channels far beyond Sears. For Sears, the sale brought in badly needed cash. For Craftsman, it meant the brand could live outside the shrinking store network. But that was exactly the warning sign. If the brand could survive better away from Sears, then Sears was no longer the engine creating the value. It had become the owner of valuable pieces that other companies could use more effectively. By 2017, the numbers showed how far the operating machine had deteriorated. Sears Holdings' revenue fell to $16.7 billion, down sharply from the year before. Comparable store sales fell 13.5%. That means the problem was not only that Sears had fewer stores, even the stores that remained were selling less. This is the point where decline becomes circular. Weak stores reduce sales, lower sales reduce cash. Less cash means less investment in stores, inventory, service, and technology. Weaker stores then lose more customers. Suppliers become more cautious. Customers see emptier shelves and older locations. The brand memory remains, but the shopping experience no longer confirms it. That gap is dangerous. A famous name can keep people aware of a company long after it has stopped giving them a reason to come back. By the time Sears filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in October 2018, the collapse looked sudden only from the outside. Inside the business model, the pressure had been building for years. The company had too many stores that were not productive enough, too many competitors with clearer positions, too many legacy obligations, and too little momentum in the core retail experience. Bankruptcy did not fully erase Sears. In 2019, many of the remaining assets were sold to Eddie Lampert's ESL, preserving hundreds of stores and thousands of jobs at that moment. But the empire was no longer the empire. Store counts kept shrinking. What remained was a shadow of the old system. A smaller retail footprint, online fragments, service operations, brand licensing, and pieces of intellectual property. Some of the brands lived on better than the stores. Craftsman continued under Stanley Black & Decker. DieHard was sold to Advance Auto Parts in 2019. Kenmore remained connected to Transformco, but without the old Sears machine around it, even a trusted appliance name had less cultural force than before. That is the final irony of Sears. The company had assets almost until the end. It had brands people remembered. It had real estate. It had history. It had customer trust built over generations. But an empire is not just a collection of valuable pieces. It is the system that makes those pieces more valuable together. Sears lost that system. The catalog once made the products more powerful. The stores once made the brands more powerful. The service network once made the customer relationship more powerful. But when the stores weakened, the brands became separable. When the real estate became more valuable than the retail, the locations became separable. When the customer relationship moved to competitors, the name became memory instead of momentum. The business lesson is not simply that Sears failed to adapt. Sears had adapted before. The sharper lesson is that a company can own the assets of an empire long after it has lost the economics of one. And when that happens, selling pieces of the empire may keep the lights on, but it can also reveal the truth. The value is no longer in the machine. It is in what can be taken out of it.